What if Daniel Ricciardo had never left? Daniel Ricciardo is pretty much back where he started now that he's driving for Red Bull's sister team Alpha Tauri. He replaced the disappointing Dutchman Nick de Vries after 10 races and is eager to show his stuff again. This is a pretty strange situation as he opted not to drive for Haas last season because their package wasn't good enough, but he finds himself in the worst car on the grid. Still, everyone has high hopes that the Danny Ric of old will show up again and will do some of his late braking and dummy moves once more. This made me wonder, what if Daniel Ricciardo had never left Red Bull in 2018? I'm Wimbo, let's get our creative juices flowing and imagine a whole new storyline for the Honey Badger. The 2019 season. I remember well that Cyril Abiteboul, the CEO of Renault at the time, was pretty smug about taking away Ricciardo from under the nose of Christian Horner, in the middle of a dispute over their crappy engines. That wouldn't have happened if he had stayed. Pierre Gasly wouldn't have crashed during the testing twice, so more valid information would have been gathered. As for the season, the RB15 was fast at times and had better reliability than the Renault engine. Max Verstappen managed 3 wins, 2 second and 4 third place finishes that season. Gasly fared a lot worse, only managing a P4 finish in Great Britain and was replaced by Alex Albon after the Hungarian Grand Prix. Alex Albon scored a bit better with regular P5 and P6 finishes and was kept on for another year. I dare say that with Daniel Ricciardo's experience and skill, he would have at least qualified higher than the 2 Toro Rosso boys and definitely would have had a few podiums too. Especially Monaco was a track where he could have shown his stuff. The 2020 season. The RB16 was a handful, and Alex Albon suffered with the pointy nose and loose rear of that car. What we know from Ricciardo's driving style is that he loved attacking corners with a strong front end, braking a tad earlier to keep the car level, and turn aggressively. At Renault, they tried to make the car that way for him, and his results weren't that bad. He scored 2 podiums there. Max Verstappen scored 3 third places, 6 second places, and 2 wins that season. We know that Ricciardo wasn't far behind Verstappen most of the time, and could even match him at times. Ricciardo would have scored a bunch more podiums and maybe even a win.
It's real sweat. I'm a high performance athlete. Athletes sweat. Sweat, baby. Sweat, sweat.
The 2021 season. The legendary 2021 season saw Checo Perez in the place of Alex Albon, who was demoted to reserve driver. This season was the first time Mercedes found a match in an opponent, something they asked for years. Unfortunately, they actually didn't like having competition that much, and the cries in the media about being hampered were a regular thing. The 2021 floor regulations were implemented by request of Pirelli because the high downforce of the cars produced after years of development was too much to handle for the tires. This wasn't done to peg Mercedes down. Now try to imagine what Perez did with the RB16B and picture Daniel Ricciardo in his place. Perez, coming from Mercedes powered teams, even better. A pink Mercedes had a more balanced driving style. He suffered with the strong front end and the loose rear. I do not doubt for a second that Danny Ric would have shown in that car. It would have made the championship very different if the second Red Bull driver had taken points away from Lewis Hamilton as well at times. Verstappen raked in 10 wins and Perez won. Checo did score 4 third places in 2021, and obviously how he slowed down Hamilton in the season final was awesome. Still, with Daniel Ricciardo in that seat, it wouldn't have been necessary. They could have even had a go at the constructors, as Bottas had already given up that season. And I don't blame him after all the engines he had to take or pit stops he had to make to steal Verstappen's fastest lap. Yes, the tally of podiums and wins, and maybe even prizes, would have been much higher if he stayed with the team that he calls family. The 2022 and 2023 season. Verstappen struggled with the RB18 a bit at the start of the season. It had the opposite qualities that Max liked. It's safe to say that Ricciardo would have had the same problem, as their way of driving is pretty similar. Later in the season, it did go Red Bull's way, and I bet that Daniel Ricciardo would have given Verstappen a run for his money. There definitely would have been a title battle. I'm not saying Ricciardo would have beaten Verstappen, but the record of 15 wins in one season could have been fewer if you ask me. This obviously goes for the 2023 season too. The title fight, even within one team, people are begging for, would totally be a possibility if Daniel Ricciardo was racing for Red Bull right now.
And for anyone who thought I left, I never left.
By the way, if you enjoyed this video, here's 3 seconds to leave a like. What now? Well, Daniel Ricciardo has openly said he's going for the Red Bull seat. He wants to show his worth in Alpha Tauri and then move up. As you can tell by this video, I'm all up for it. 4 years later, 4 years the wiser, this could all benefit Red Bull. When the competition catches up, Red Bull needs a driver in that second seat that can qualify within a few tenths of Verstappen and can go for podiums and wins each race. If Daniel Ricciardo had stayed, he'd have loads more trophies, loads more shoeies, and he wouldn't have gone through the humiliation of getting paid out of a contract. I'm not a person to dwell on things too long, even though I had fun making this video. I'm happy to look forward, and I'm hoping and praying with everything I have in me to see the Danny Rick of old back once again. What about you peeps? Leave a comment and subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei.